Teacher, Susan Jantzen, how do you become as perfect as God? How do you become as perfect as God? Susan Jantzen.
How do you become as perfect as God? I was reading the Bible the other day and I came across Matthew 5:48. Be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven. And I made a few notes. Actually, what I thought was, I understand Father. Father would mean God. But it dawned on me, how would I become as perfect as God? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, how do you become as perfect as God? Obviously, you can't be like something if you don't know what that something is, but where do you start? You have to start somewhere. And God's been around for a very long time. Now, the Bible is a very good book, but the Bible is a very long book, and I only have 7 minutes to figure this out. So I realized I need a very short and simple way to determine what God is. And then I need a very short and simple method for becoming as perfect as God. It sounded easy enough. But the more I thought about it, then that word method stuck with me, and I remember taking statistics in college. My first assignment was to do a statistical survey. Now, when you do a survey, you ask people questions, you gather all their answers, and then you analyze or summarize those answers, and you come up with a conclusion. So my first thought when I was doing this speech, I may need a miracle, because I did my first speech on miracles. I asked people, do they believe in miracles? And 97% of those people said yes, they did believe in miracles. My second thought, I think I'll do a very short survey on the who, what, when, where, and why of God. And that's what I did. I went up to a salesman. I said, can you tell me who is God? And he dug into his briefcase and he picked up a Bible and said, that'll be $25 in tax. Then I asked a teenager, can you tell me what is God? And he said, hey, Mama, that's a heavy question. I'm going surfing right now, but if you give me a minute and give me your email address, I'll text you later. Yeah. Then I asked a child, where is God? He said nothing. He stood there, and then he pointed, and then he just stood there longer with an impish grin on his face. And getting nowhere, I said, I have to go right to the source. I went to a minister and I said, Father, when will I be as perfect as my Father in heaven? And he said, never. Only God is perfect. And I said, oh my gosh, now I'm getting desperate. This is only a 7-minute speech. So I went to another man of the cloth and I said, please tell me, why does the Bible say, be ye therefore perfect? And he said, my dear, you must pray about it. So there you go. In statistics, we'd say the results of my survey were inconclusive. And the bottom line is I don't know what to tell you about what God is, so I'm going in the other direction. I looked up Webster's definition of perfect in the dictionary, and this is what it said. Being entirely without defect, as in flawless, corresponding to an ideal standard. And this one I liked, faithfully reproducing the original. Have you ever tried to find a reproduction of God? I seriously considered going to the Smithsonian, but there wasn't enough time. So I revisited the Bible, and this is what I found in Romans 1:20. The invisible things of him, and him means God, from the creation of the world are clearly seen and understood from the things that are made. Now, as much as I would like to reproduce God for you right here and right now, I'm not sure, given this present state, that I could create the waters, much less part them, or be the wind fluttering through the trees. Not to mention, if I tried that, we could be here for hours. So I said to myself, what would God do in this situation? And it came to me in a flash, like thunder, like lightning. He would pray. Now, I consider praying prolonged thinking along specific lines. So I did a lot of prolonged thinking about how I could become as perfect as God. And this is what I came up with. If Father is God, and God is all, and all is everything, that would mean that everything I think, say, and do would have to be perfect. Now, if God is eternal, and eternal is always, and always means forever, that would mean I'd have to be perfect in everything I think, say, and do forever. So you could say I summarize my thoughts like this: being perfect always in all my ways. Now, this is being perfect, and being perfect is sounding a little bit too easy, easier said than done. But call it a miracle. I found the way to become as perfect as God in 3 easy steps. Step 1, you empty out. You empty your mind of any thoughts that are not perfect. Step 2, you fill up. You fill up your mind with only thoughts that are perfect. And step 3, you keep filling up. You keep filling up 24/7 in the way that you think God thinks. Now, since I don't know what God thinks, how God thinks, or the way that God thinks, I have to trust that it is perfect, always, in all ways. And that's the method. That's my conclusion. You empty out, you fill up, and you keep filling up, always, in all your ways. I was so excited about these 3 steps because they were so easy that I went around trying to be perfect every way that I could, and guess what? I found out that it works. What you think is what you get. Or the Bible would say, what you reap is what you sow. By the time I was finished with some perfect thinking, I realized that I was perfect, and that everything and everyone else was perfect. And I'm going to continue to work on being as perfect as my Father in heaven, because I know it's important. But right now, I feel perfect. And I know I'm more perfect than I was a second ago, because I was just thinking, I am perfect. And so are